Jaron Ennis fights like a GTA 5 character. Hits harder than Errol Spence Jr. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. All right, y'all. So, Jaron Boots Ennis.
This is my favorite combat sport athlete to watch. In MMA or boxing, this is the guy. They call him Boots. Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis, by the way, is a mandatory, I think, through the IBF for Errol Spence.
An up-and-coming name in the welterweight division. A lot of people feel like he's the next big thing. He will be, at one point, the unified or undisputed welterweight champion of the world. It's only a matter of time. But for now, Jaron Boots Ennis is an up-and-coming welterweight. He just hasn't gotten that marquee fight to make his name yet. He's really looking to solidify himself as the top of the welterweight division, but he has to get a shot at either Errol Spence or Terence Crawford for now before that will happen. There are no other champions, so unless he's fighting another up-and-coming fighter, which wouldn't be for a lot of money, but would definitely be for a lot of clout, it's not a lot Jaron Ennis can do at this point. But let's analyze the punching power of Jaron Ennis versus Errol The Truth Spence Jr. And why do I feel like Jaron Ennis fights like a GTA 5 character? Alright, y'all, so everybody's played GTA 5, man. You know what's up. And in GTA 5, you pretty much fight like there is no tomorrow. You fight with a reckless abandon. It's very violent fighting. And I feel like that's Jaron Ennis in a nutshell. He's very relentless. He's very powerful. He's very violent with the way he fights. He can switch back and forth. He's a unique style of fighting, so he'd be hard to prepare for, which is the same way you go into GTA 5 fighting. When you're online and you're one-on-one with somebody, you don't know what they're going to come with. It's not like boxing. It's just a bunch of random stuff going on. And when you fight Jaron Ennis, not to make his style seem downgraded or anything, but it's very random. And random is good in boxing because it's unpredictable. He might be in a southpaw stance. He might be throwing power from the left hand. He might be throwing power from the right hand. He might be planting on his left leg. He might be planting on his right leg. When you can't time any of this stuff, it's hard to predict a fighter, and it usually ends in a loss. And I think these are some of the reasons Jaron Ennis is able to generate the type of power that people say is better than Errol Spence Jr. Now, the only other person I've heard Jaron Ennis' name mentioned next to when it comes to power is Vergil Ortiz. A lot of people feel like Vergil Ortiz is the pinnacle of welterweight punching. But with Jaron Ennis being right behind him, having a seriously high knockout ratio, if you go check his box rec, he has a seriously high knockout ratio himself. Now, Vergil Ortiz is higher. You can say that that's based off level of competition, but we won't argue that right now. Let's just go off of pure punching power, what you see and the styles of those two fighters. When it comes to Jaron Ennis, I think his punching power is developed from almost like a Manny Pacquiao style of fighting, because I've compared those two guys before in the past, saying that Jaron Ennis is the closest thing to Manny Pacquiao, which a lot of people laughed at, but if you look at how Manny Pacquiao fought, it was very unpredictable. The one thing that people always say is it wasn't the punching power of Manny Pacquiao, but it was the angles.
Pacquiao felt like a little brick.
And the speed that came along with it. Now, Jaron Ennis is a power puncher, but he's able to use speed as well, even though he has a larger body type, larger than Manny Pacquiao's. He's able to use angles, speed, and power to overwhelm fighters, and most of the time it's worked for him. I don't know of too many fights where he had to go the full 12 rounds to get his opponent out of there, and especially not in his last 5 or 6 fights. He's been totally dominant, and this is something we saw from Manny Pacquiao in his emergence into the boxing public. When you first saw Pacquiao, he wasn't that tornado of power and speed that Freddie Roach turned him into. This was something that came along with time. When we first saw Pacquiao, he was a one-trick pony, and I think a lot of people thought that Jaron Ennis was a one-trick pony as well, that his switching style, similar to Terence Crawford, would be his only attribute that he could hang his hat on. I don't think many people knew about his punching power, or the fact that he was so speedy, the fact that he could cut a ring off, his ring IQ. His boxing skill level is much higher than what we've seen over the past 10 years. You could say he's better than Errol Spence Jr. You could say he's better than Terrence Crawford, yet he hasn't gotten no shots to be a champion yet. And why is it that he hasn't gotten a shot yet? Is it that those guys might fear Jaron Ennis a little bit? Is it that those guys don't want to take a loss to an up-and-coming fighter? Or is it that Jaron Ennis just hasn't earned a spot yet to be taken seriously? It could be many things, but what we do know is he's devastated his last few opponents, and given a shot to take on one of the top champions, if nothing else, he will challenge those guys. I think, especially when it comes to Terrence Crawford, that will probably be one of the wildest fights that you've ever seen, because they both do similar things. So you're going to see probably a lot of head clashes, a lot of tangled arms, a lot of running into each other. And I think that Terrence Crawford, being that he hasn't had a lot of tough fights, you've never seen really Terrence Crawford be devastated by someone's power or get cut to where he had to overcome some type of adversity. And I think if he fought Boots, it would be a lot of that head clashing and stuff, and Terrence Crawford would be in some awkward positions and have to work his way out of those to win the fight. And I think that Boots, being that he is so hungry, he's got that Philadelphia in him, and he is like really reckless with his style and his power, that could really go against the skill sets of Terrence Bud Crawford. When it comes to Errol Spence Jr., if he was to get in the ring with Errol Spence Jr., I think it would be, you would see Errol Spence slow Boots down because of his mummy style pace. Boots would have to work himself in and try to work on the body of Errol Spence, perhaps trying to throw more power shots in the beginning, boxing him in the middle, and then just going crazy on him with the switching style and the power at the end of the fight to throw Errol Spence off. He's very one-dimensional, Errol Spence. So to beat him, you have to throw him off his game plan. He's going to go at his pace. He's going to throw off that jab, and he's going to work his game plan. So you need some type of random game plan, but you have to be strong with your skill sets to be random. And I think Boots is all of that in a nutshell. He can be random, he can be a boxer, he can be a power puncher, and when he puts it all together, he's a total fighter and could be a serious problem for Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. Who wins the power war between Errol Spence and Boots Ennis? If you ask me right now, I would have to give it to Boots because of youth, and he has a lot more upside. Errol Spence, I think he's at his pinnacle of power. We haven't seen Boots devastate a fighter like Errol Spence did to Ugais yet, but I think it's on its way, and it's only a matter of time before we'll see that. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that down in the comment section below. Let me know who wins the war of power between Boots, Errol Spence, and you can throw Crawford in there as well. Hit me up on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You're more than likely to get a response on the tube, so holla at me over there. And Twitter. And we are
all that seems to be on my mind is hustling. I just wanna touch a onion. She just want a couple hundred. I got mad and changed the subject. Then I got drunk and said fuck it. This is for my hustling niggas. This is for my hustling bitches. Pull up with that Aquafina. Yellow bone, her name is Tina. Tina like the hit casinos. Tina could snort a whole kilo. Tina like to fight and argue. Bye bye Tina, bitch, who are you?